What if the sun is not just a star? It is your identity. There's one thing almost everyone knows about astrology: their sun sign. Ask anyone, believer or skeptic, curious or dismissive, and they will tell you, and I am a Scorpio. I am a Sagittarius. I am a Virgo. It is the one piece of astrological information that has survived the reduction of a 5,000-year-old system into a daily newspaper column. The one symbol that popular culture preserved when it discarded everything else. And it is almost universally misunderstood, because the sun sign, in the hands of popular astrology, became a personality type, a set of fixed characteristics assigned to everyone born within a 30-day window. Aries are bold. Cancers are emotional. Capricorns are ambitious. Libras cannot make decisions. These descriptions are so broad, so vague, so carefully constructed to apply to almost anyone that they tell you almost nothing. And when they fail, when the Aries is timid, when the Cancer is cold, when the Capricorn is directionless, people conclude that astrology does not work. But they were never working with astrology. They were working with a caricature of it. Because in the astrological tradition that has been practiced by serious minds for thousands of years, the sun is not a personality type. It is something far more specific, far more demanding, far more useful. The sun in your birth chart represents not who you already are, but who you are here to become. Not your default settings, not your comfortable habits, not the personality that formed in childhood as a response to your environment and your wounds and your early experiences, but the deepest direction of your becoming. The quality of consciousness that this particular life is oriented toward expressing. And that distinction between who you are and who you are becoming changes everything. Because most people spend their lives expressing their moon, their rising sign, their wounds, their conditioning, the patterns laid down in early childhood, the strategies developed to survive, to belong, to be loved. These are real, they are powerful. They shape behavior with a force that is often invisible precisely because it is so constant. But beneath all of that, something else is present. A direction, a pull, a quality that keeps reasserting itself no matter how many times it is suppressed or redirected or buried under more comfortable patterns. Something that, when expressed, produces a particular kind of satisfaction that nothing else quite replaces. And when denied, when lived against, produces a specific kind of hollowness that accumulates over time into what some people call a sense that they are not living their own life. That is what the sun represents. Not a fixed identity, but a living direction. And this is why the sun sign cannot be understood as a personality type. Because you are not born already expressing your sun. In most cases, you spend the first half of your life discovering it, sometimes longer. The sun is not what comes naturally. That is more often the moon, the rising sign, the patterns of early life. The sun is what calls, what persists, what refuses to be permanently silenced, no matter how many times you choose the safer, easier, more familiar path. The sun is the self that is trying to be born. In every sun sign, this direction has a particular quality, a particular way of being present in the world, a particular relationship with life, with others, with meaning. Aries is learning to be a pioneer, to move into unknown territory without waiting for permission, without needing certainty, without requiring that others go first. Not because Aries people are naturally fearless, but because the development of genuine courage, the willingness to initiate, to act from one's own authority rather than from consensus or approval, is what this solar energy is oriented toward. Taurus is learning to be fully present in the physical world, to develop a deep, unhurried relationship with beauty, with pleasure, with the value of things, with the body as a ground of experience rather than an inconvenience. Not because Taurus people are naturally sensual or patient, but because the cultivation of genuine presence, of rootedness, of the ability to find the sacred in the ordinary, is what this solar direction is calling toward. Gemini is learning to be a genuine bridge between worlds, to develop the capacity for real curiosity, real communication, real understanding of how different perspectives connect. Not superficial variety for its own sake, but the deep intellectual and social intelligence that comes from truly inhabiting multiple points of view simultaneously. Cancer is learning to be a nurturer not from fear or obligation, but from genuine strength, to develop the capacity for real emotional depth, real care, real belonging, without losing the self in the process. The Sun in Cancer is not calling toward dependency or emotional reactivity. It is calling toward the development of a kind of inner home, a security so deep it can be offered freely to others without needing to be replenished from the outside. Leo is learning to be genuinely creative, to develop the courage to express something that is authentically and unreservedly one's own. Not performance for approval, not the need for attention that is so often mistaken for Leo energy, but the deep solar principle of self-expression, of bringing something into the world that carries the unmistakable signature of one particular consciousness. Virgo is learning to be of genuine service, not from a place of self-erasure or perfectionism that is really disguised anxiety, but from a real mastery of craft, a genuine care for the details that matter, a capacity for discernment and precision that can actually help rather than simply criticize. Libra is learning to be a genuine partner, not to avoid conflict at all costs, not to lose the self in the search for harmony, but to develop the deep intelligence of relationship, the capacity to truly see another, to hold two perspectives simultaneously, to find the beauty and balance without sacrificing truth for the sake of peace. Scorpio is learning to be a transformer, to develop the capacity to go into the deepest and darkest places of human experience, to face what others cannot face, and to emerge not destroyed but changed. The Sun in Scorpio is not calling toward intensity for its own sake or power over others. It is calling toward the development of genuine depth, the willingness to die to what is no longer true in order to become what is more fully alive. Sagittarius is learning to be a genuine seeker, to develop a relationship with truth that is expansive enough to keep growing, honest enough to abandon comfortable beliefs when they no longer hold, and alive enough to inspire that same aliveness in others. Not restlessness or the avoidance of commitment, but the development of a genuine philosophical center, a lived understanding of what this existence means. Capricorn is learning to be a genuine authority, not to accumulate power or status for their own sake, but to develop the kind of mastery and integrity that earns real respect. The Sun in Capricorn is calling toward the development of something that can endure, something built carefully, over time, with full awareness of the cost, something that contributes something real to the structures of the world. Aquarius is learning to be a genuine visionary, to develop the capacity to see beyond the current consensus, to imagine what does not yet exist, and to work toward it with enough detachment from the need for immediate approval to actually bring something new into being. Not rebellion for its own sake, but the development of a genuinely independent mind that serves something larger than itself. Pisces is learning to be a genuine mystic, to develop the capacity to dissolve the boundaries between self and other, between the personal and the universal, without losing coherence. The Sun in Pisces is not calling toward escape or confusion. It is calling toward the development of a consciousness so permeable, so compassionate, so capable of holding the full range of human experience, that it becomes a genuine vessel for something beyond the personal. These are not descriptions of what Aries people are like, or Taurus people, or any of the others. They are descriptions of what each solar direction is moving toward. And most people, for most of their lives, are moving away from it. Not because they are failing, but because the Sun represents the edge of development, the growing edge, the place where the most aliveness is available, and the most resistance is felt simultaneously. It is easier to stay in the familiar territory of the moon, the rising sign, the patterns of the past. The sun asks for something more, something that has to be chosen, repeatedly, in the face of the pull toward comfort and safety and the known. And the question that astrology is really asking, beneath all the symbols, beneath all the interpretations, beneath all the complexity of the full birth chart, is a very simple one. Are you moving toward your sun or away from it? Not as a judgment, as an orientation, because the sun does not punish you for moving away from it. It simply becomes quieter, less available, less alive, and the life begins to feel gradually like it belongs to someone else, while the sun waits, patient as a star, for the moment you turn toward it. And in the next video, we will explore the other great luminary of the birth chart, the one that speaks not of who you are becoming, but of who you already are at the deepest emotional level, the one that governs your instincts, your needs, your relationship with safety and belonging and home. The moon.